So again, much like what we did in form.html, we're looking for this on state change, this ready state change, and once the state changes, we're looking for a state of 4 and a status of 200. So this means that all of that JSON information, that JSON file has loaded. So quiz.json has loaded, and if this condition is true, and if we've got the data sitting there, now we can use that data. And that's what we're doing within this lesson. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk through all the different JavaScript code that we've got entered in here. So a lot of this is just styling out that output. So all we really are looking at initially is going to be this AJAX response text. So again, the same thing that we got back here, where we got our response text and we just placed it within the inner HTML, and that was just some very simple text that was coming back. From here, we've actually got some more complex because we're using a JSON file, so we have to parse out the JSON like what we did over here, where we parsed it out and made it into a usable format, placing it in as a data object. And again, this is just a variable name. You can call it whatever you want. So I just called it data to really simplify the point that this is data that we've received from JSON. So here we've got our output inner HTML. So we're just clearing out any input that might be there in case we want to load multiple questions, multiple quizzes. So might give the user the ability to do that. We can very easily set that through sending out different JSON files or sources or whatever we want to do. So this just clears out that inner HTML, and I'm just going to uncomment these console logs, and so you can see what's actually being responded. So we're just going to do a data quiz content and a data name, because if we look back at the JSON file, we do have two different objects here. So we've got name, so the name of it is my quiz name, and then quiz content, and this is all the content that's available within this quiz. So again, a lot of different ways to format this and style this. So I wanted all the quiz content on one page. If you want all the questions on separate pages, again, a whole bunch of different ways to format the JSON file and then be able to read it through in your JavaScript and output it as HTML. So here we're just putting in that quiz content, and we're getting that data name. So we're taking in, parsing out the response text, and this is where we're actually just going to get into more working with JSON information and JSON file past the AJAX, because once we've completed here, we've actually completed our AJAX process and we've received back this information from the server, and now it's just a matter of working with it and getting it to look like the way that we want it to look. So when I refresh the page, you can see here that I'm returned back that name of the quiz. So this, again, this is coming from that AJAX name, or that JSON name, and then we return back object, 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 and here we can see that we've got one object, but it's containing all 4 questions as separate objects, and then we've also got the answers as objects. So we've got an object within an object within objects, and then here we've just got the correct answer is going to be 1. We're passing through an image value and a question value. And again, the reason for working with a JSON file, it just makes it a lot simpler and easier to read, as opposed to what we were looking at before when we had that JS file and everything was kind of crunched together and we couldn't easily make changes. So here, for example, if we wanted to add in additional questions, it's going to be really as simple as just giving it another key value and then giving it another value, associated value, and now when I refresh it, I should have question number 5, and so on and so on. So I could literally add in as many questions as I want, as long as I've got different key values here, and I can make any one of these correct just by changing that correct value there. And then here I can change that, update that question text, and this is all that just gets output here, question text. So now that we've pulled in the data and we're using quiz content, we've noticed that in quiz content there's the 4 different objects, and they're all And there are all the different questions that we have available. Now at this point we can begin to work with our response text, and that's what we're going to be talking about in the next lesson, just simply looping through and working with it. And as for the AJAX, this is going to be the completion of what we need to talk about for AJAX, because after this point we've parsed out that JSON file and we've parsed it in data, and now we can just work with it as an object in JavaScript.